Hey, hey, hey. This is the Product Uncensored show with your host, Colin Pell. And today I want to start by, first off, apologizing. After the last episode that we had with Rajesh, it's been pretty much radio silence since then. It was totally not intentional. So, what happened was I started a new job. And I can tell you that, year end crunch is real. But hey, I'm back with a new episode, so I hope that all is forgiven and that we're not gonna break up. Okay, please. All right. Okay, so let's start. We've got another really fantastic show today. We've got another smashing guest. But before that, let's go through the four rules of the show. Number one, I write at www.productuncensored.com. So if you want to read, my rants and stuff, go there. Also, if you are listening to this on Spotify or something, we actually have videos of these recorded, which are on YouTube. If you're doing that, please do me a favor and click on the subscribe button. And while you're doing that as well, please click on the bell icon so that you'll be notified every time we have new content. If you're watching the video and you want to only listen to my voice and not see my face, then we are also available on all major podcasting platforms. I believe it should be showing up here now somewhere in front of the Christmas tree. And finally, if you like what you've been listening to and you want to support this show, there is a link in the description where you can buy me a coffee and support the show. Basically, Buy Me a Coffee is the site. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's it. We're ready to get into today's episode. Now, today's episode is special. I don't need to tell you that. I tell you that every episode, but I'll tell you why this episode is special anyway. Number one, it is our last episode for the year. Okay, not forever, for the year. And it's the 20th episode. So I thought, wow, ending it on the 20th episode is really nice. And also, this is the first time we'll be having a host from another Malaysian-based product podcast show as well. So that's why I'm super excited. So let me introduce him. He's the host of Crazy Product Asia. He's a senior product manager. He's very handsome. He's Kit Neoh. Welcome to the show, Kit.
Hey, thanks, Colin.
Yeah. So thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show. I was just telling Kit, when I thought that I wanted to do something different, and I thought, hey, why not get someone who has his own product podcast as well. So I thought it would be great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having. It's crazy that you have reached 20, man. I only reached I think I only reached 4.
Yeah, but it's different because I had a lot of free time, right? So it's different. Yeah, I guess it's slightly different.
But I truly enjoyed what you have been doing, and I think definitely with your experience and your network, I think it has helped a lot of product managers even in the whole region, right? So wow. I think thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. By the way, that's not a paid advertisement. So wow, I'm so proud now. So thank you so much. So I wanted to start by actually bringing up a very interesting irony, I guess, about this whole episode, right? I think,
sure,
if I remember correctly, I was the first guest on your Crazy.
Yes, you were.
Yeah,
you were. Yes.
And now you are the last guest on the Product Uncensored show for 2020. So first and last, so it's quite cool.
I'm on it. I'm really on it.
Thank you
for having me.
Yeah. So today's show is going to be slightly different in a sense that we're not going to just do this typical interview.
Sure.
But we want to sort of just have a discussion about the year.
Let's not.
The year in product 2020. But before we go there, Kit, maybe you can just introduce yourself a little bit to those who don't know you. Maybe you can even talk about the podcast that you have.
Yeah. So maybe I can start with the podcast and the reason why I even started the podcast. So I think so there was I had an idea where I was pretty lazy of writing on Medium. I mean I do like writing on Medium, but I felt like doing a podcast will be able to reach to more audience much quicker rather than repeating myself over again, writing the same thing. So that's why I decided to actually start a podcast. I was like, hey, there isn't really anyone speaking about products in Asia, focusing on Asia. Most of the podcasts are in Silicon Valley or in the western part of the world, but no one was really talking about Asia. So I was like, why not start something? And that's what I did. And obviously, through the whole making of the episode, it has been an interesting experience. And I kind of figured that maybe I should stick to writing instead of
Oh no.
instead of no, because I honestly think that you're doing a way better job than I am in terms of podcasting, and I think you're reaching to a much needed audience that would appreciate the content that you're putting out. So I think I told you about this before, like in the first episode. So yeah, that's essentially why. And maybe a little bit of myself. I would say I started my mini startup for about 3 years, and then after that, it was after that whole startup experience, I sold it off, made a little bit of money, and then gone into
That was in the
product
Bay
management.
Area, right?
No, that wasn't in the Bay Area actually. But
No.
yeah, I was in the Bay Area, and I actually had two opportunities. I think it was Ubisoft, and another startup was Gumroad. I'm not sure if you know this
Yes. Wow.
startup called
You nearly
Gumroad.
joined Gumroad. Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, I nearly joined Gumroad, and then my then co-founder, we had a call, and then we were like, hey, we are 24, we have no risk, we have no commitments. Why not do something? So that's where I decided to come back to Malaysia instead of using my at that time it's something called OPT, Optical Practical Training. It's something that you apply for after you graduate in the US. So that's why I decided to come back and yeah, did the whole startups thing for 3 years. Yeah. And yeah, then that's how I actually got into product management by accident. I didn't know what product management is. I just stumbled upon it by accident. Yeah, that's what we are here to talk about.
Very nice. Very nice. So how would you say your experience with product management has been in Malaysia? Yeah, I think that's one
Very
burning question that I want to ask you, right?
That's I think it's interesting. Definitely very interesting. So obviously I still remember my friend who worked in Pinterest at that time when I was still in SF. I stayed in SF. So also SF is crazy expensive because I paid 1.4K USD for a bed in Soma, which is south of the market. So that's nuts. But yeah,
Yes.
the engineer that I spoke to, I met a couple of product managers in the Bay Area, and what they tell me is completely different to what I am practicing here.
Wow.
So
Tell me a bit. Tell me a bit more about that. I mean, since you mentioned it right now, I'm very curious to know what did they tell you that you found was so different there versus here.
So I think the biggest difference here is that I think we both are very aware of Marty Kagan's principles and the thing that he preaches. So I think the three things is that the three type of teams is that you're either in an empowered team, a feature
Feature
team,
team.
or a delivery team.
Yeah.
Right. So I think in the Bay Area, there are obviously more modern way of doing product management, which is where you're actually solving problems. Like the leadership team are there to hand you problems, and you have full autonomy over solving all the problems. But I think in Southeast Asia, well, specifically Malaysia here, where we are working, I don't think I wouldn't say it's not the intention of management to do it that way because they don't know how, but it's more of it's easier for me as a management team to tell you, hey, I want this product to be built or I want this feature to be built. This go build it and let me tell you how to build it. Let me tell you how to build it. So that's the biggest difference. Essentially, I think bulk of the product companies here or companies or startups, the product teams here are mainly just either feature or delivery teams. I haven't seen empowered teams. I really would love to talk and chat with anyone who's a product manager in Malaysia who's in an empowered team, because that would be a very interesting conversation I would like to have.
Yeah, I think I have a follow-up question to that, but let me just give my thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, please.
I think the interesting part is what you said holds true, but I also wonder whether there is a huge correlation with the maturity of the scene in Malaysia specifically. And the reason
Yep.
why I say that is like we have a lot of startups which are really small in Malaysia. And I'm not saying this as a bad thing, but the fact of the matter is most startups in Malaysia tend to start on their own. They're like really bootstrapped. And then the funding that comes into Malaysia, unfortunately, is also not that big. Like, especially when you compare with the kinds of funding that Indonesia is getting and Singapore is getting. I think we're only now starting to get that, right. Recent news, I can't remember. They were like two Malaysian startups that went into the millions. So I think I'm really proud of that on one hand. But yeah, I think it's also indicative of the maturity. So do you think that that's something that actually plays into why the whole scene is like that? And the second part of the question is also whether culture, the whole the whole Asian culture / mentality comes into it.
So just to understand your question, your first question would be the maturity in product leadership, and the second would be culture, right? So
Sorry. The first part is not so much product leadership. I think in general, it's just the whole product scene, which is
the maturity of that
which is
scaling
also
towards
coupled together with the startup scene. I think because in
Yeah.
Malaysia, a lot of the companies that were doing product management in the beginning, like how I got into product management, was I actually joined a fairly huge company that decided to set up shop in Malaysia. So it wasn't a Malaysian startup, right? So I've got bosses who were from overseas, so their thinking, was already quite different.
completely different. Yep. Yeah. So I think predominantly what I've realized is that maybe because I've worked with mostly founders or management that are predominantly based in Malaysia. So, and obviously maybe some of them have experiences outside of the country, but not in terms of the product maturity. And at the same time, I think product management has just really started gaining steam in Southeast Asia, and obviously in Malaysia. So because it just got this hype train or this trend that's just starting. It's like, I am just starting. I've started a startup. May I hit probably about 20, 30 people. Let's hire our first product manager. And then the founder or the senior manager is like, yeah, but I'm not ready to kind of give up part of that empowerment. So I think because of that creates a lot of friction when you bring in a product manager expecting to have that level of autonomy, and then that level of autonomy is not given. Then that creates that friction, and that couples with knowing whether the product manager is mature enough to have that autonomy to execute based on what the founders or the senior managers provide, right? So I think it's a vice versa kind of problem. On one hand, we have a problem of maturity in terms of thought from senior managers or product leaders. On another hand, you people who are maybe probably business analysts or probably some other positions who are interested in product management decided to get into product management, and then the leaders are like, I don't think you really know product management, but I hired you, so I will tell you what to do. So what to do and what to build. So I think that creates a lot of friction on both ends. I believe that eventually that friction is going to be it's going I think it's slowly the friction is slowly moving away eventually, but I don't think we are heading there fast enough. Just cause that if I were to go into a company right now, and I say, hey, I want full autonomy over the product that I'm building, and I want to solve these specific sets of problems to help either scale the product or either make the product 10x better, or whatever the matrix are. I don't think senior managers or managers are just comfortable giving that autonomy and say, hey, I'll back off and I'll just lead you to that. So I think that's the first answering the first part of the problem, right? The second, on culture wise, culture is tricky though. I I've heard of companies. So for example, I think one of the companies that I really look up to, and I've met Ai Ching personally when I was in Penang. I remember speaking to her. I think PictoChat is doing something interesting in terms of redefining what working cultures would be. I think what PictoChat and what Ai Ching is trying to do is to balance that work-life balance thing with having performance, and at the same time having that right product led company. So I think that's one thing that PictoChat has it going in the right way. But with regards to the rest of the companies out there that I've seen and listened with my colleagues or my peers in the industry, it's always the same thing. It's like, hi, I don't know why. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm supposed to do product, but I'm not doing product. Why? So yeah.
Yeah, well, I suppose, okay, if I were to play devil's advocate to what you've just said, right? The two things that come to mind. So first one is, you were saying that you haven't seen that many companies in Malaysia with product management where you go in and then you're given the full autonomy. The flip side of that, or the comeback to that, can also be that, and this is something that has been said by a couple of guests on the previous episodes as well, is that you don't go in and become the leader overnight, right? There's always this movement of the center of gravity from founder to first product leader within the organization. So that would be the first one. Is it because there is this mismanaged expectations, or not mismanaged, or rather maybe, what's the word I'm looking for? The myth, yes, that's the word I'm looking for. That we've seen so many of, we've read so many Marty Kagan articles, and because the Bay is or US in general tends to be more mature, that we've been sold this idea and we superimpose that maturity onto the Malaysian landscape, and therefore there's misaligned expectations. So maybe let's start with that. Yeah. Do you think that is the case?
Yes, so I think to answer to that is that obviously I think this doesn't just apply to product, right? I think it applies to every role that you come in. You have to earn that trust, and then once you earn that trust, then it's kind of almost like a grayscale plan where like you get in and then it's like a 10%, 20%. You gain that trust factor, right? So I do agree that yes, that should happen. That should definitely happen. But once you have gained that trust, and then you're still part of a delivery or feature team, then what? So you're in there. Okay, I've gained your trust. I'm ready to take this on. But then I senior manager do not want to give you problems to solve, or do not want to give you the autonomy that you're supposed to be given. Just go ahead and do what I need you to do, because from what I understand, the bot is pushing down my throat, and I need you to follow exactly what I say, because I know from what my experience that will get me results. But on the flip side, I think studies have shown it doesn't really yield that output.
Yeah. I guess in those situations, if you have some leverage of trust already that you've gone in for a while, I guess then you probably either need to decide whether you're going to make the Hail Mary play, or whether
Sure.
you're going to continue to chip,
Sure.
get more and more over
Sure.
time. So second one is pretty standard lah, so
Sure.
we won't go there. But I think if you decide to go for the Hail Mary play, for example, then I guess it's really going to be throwing down the gauntlet to say, look, I think we should go in this direction because of XYZ. This is the data, this is the research, and I guess if they don't trust you, then you can like I said, the Hail Mary play would be, look, if I don't deliver what I think can be done, I'll walk away. I suppose that works, right? 'Cause by the way, I've actually pulled that stunt once in my career. It turned out not too bad. Yeah, but
Well,
yeah.
I think not many would be able to pull that stunt, but yeah, I totally understand where you're going at, right? And I think the main point that you're trying to say is that, hey, I given the data, this is the data that represents what we're trying to do, and I think this is right. Are you willing to hear me out on this part? And I'm pretty sure a lot of people have done that. And in fact, I've listened to some of my closest product friends. They have done that as well. And then and most of the time, management either is like, oh, that's great, great data, great for justifying, and then it's the other way. It goes the other way. So you're like you're left there wondering like, okay, you're left there in this awkward position, like, so do I, like, what should I do? So I personally think this is also represented based on the initial question that you mentioned, which is culture. So I think generally in Asia, is this much more of a top-down kind of culture, where people will generally want you to people generally want to tell you what to do, versus telling you what problems that you're supposed to solve. I just think it's just much easier to tell you, hey, go and build X feature, because the director or the C-suite or whatnot have already validated this in my head, saying that this will work. And then when you go and build it, it's not the case. Then they will just say, probably it's not getting enough traction because we didn't put much more marketing dollars into it. Oh, let's put more Facebook ads or whatnot.
The falling back to we need to do more marketing is definitely one that I've heard before. I mean, not just from my own experience, but also hearing from other people. And definitely, I think we need to change that kind of mentality where everything can be solved with more marketing dollars. Because I mean, I think we've seen how product-driven companies or product-led companies can be very successful in the long term. But yeah, I guess it's growing pains for Malaysia at this point in time, given our maturity level. I think at this. Yeah, sorry, you wanted to say?
Yeah, I actually have one question. So we've been really focused on Malaysia, right? So that's the growing pains of Malaysia. So then I would just want to ask, like, what about Singapore? Would that be the same, or it's like a 50-50 game down there?
I tend to think that in Singapore it's a lot more advanced. Actually, I would put Indonesia in the same bucket as well.
Right.
And that what I mean by in the same bucket is that you really have these big companies, or sorry, they are more the product-led companies, but that isn't to say that they don't have the same kind of companies that run the same way that we've mentioned in Malaysia. It's just that I think the ratio of it is less, because I think they've been more exposed. I think they're more mature, and they're getting. So, for example, like in Indonesia and Singapore, to me, like all the big players, they've really pulled like really quality talent from US, from Europe to really come over. Sometimes I think it's a little bit overhyped. So I'm not saying that everyone who comes over is great, but I think many of them come with loads of experience, and I think that's really helping the founders, the C-level suites to see that, wow, this really can work. So I think that's the difference. And Singapore, I think also there is this um, like this need to be the top dog. It's like very ingrained. I think this is something that Singapore as a nation has done really really well. That they have
Yep.
really ingrained this want to succeed, and they're always playing the siege mentality mode. Like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
we've got no natural resources, so all we have is our services industry. Therefore, we must be able to attract talent. And I think that has also accelerated because it means that they are not scared to take bets in terms of hiring, in terms of like I said, when you throw down the gauntlet, it's okay, fine, let's do it and let's see what happens. So I think that plays a part of it lah. Yeah, that's what I think. I honestly don't think I know enough about Vietnam. So Vietnam and Myanmar are now like upcoming, like there are more and more startups there, and again they're getting a lot of foreign influence and foreign founders going in there to start things up. So I think they're also coming up. I still think if Malaysia, I have to put Malaysia, I think we are definitely behind Singapore and Indonesia, probably ahead of Vietnam and Myanmar from a product maturity perspective lah. At least
Yep.
that's my point of view lah.
Yep.
Mm,
Yep. Fair
yeah,
enough.
yeah.
I
So
think. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I think what you said makes tons of sense, right? Because if you're attracting foreign talent and they know how what's best for building a product, and they are leading companies, big companies, they will definitely be able to spread their influence and how it should be done, right? Versus to where Malaysia is, and also I think at the same time, I think this is an age-old thing that everyone says is that Malaysia doesn't have the branding to attract talents compared to
Mm,
Singapore.
mm,
Yeah, so I
mm.
don't know if you agree to that, but I kind of think so.
I think if for Malaysia, right, we are. Let me be politically uncorrect and say that I think we are not getting the kind of infrastructure support from the government to enable that. So what I mean by that, if you look at Singapore, right, they really
Yeah,
push the tech industry at the forefront. Malaysia has magic and all that, but to me, I still feel that like magic alone is not sufficient. Like we really need infrastructure support to really make this work, not just building up the founders and good products, but yeah, being able to look at the long-term pipeline. Like how do we make sure that we build up graduates who are entrepreneurial in their thinking. And so you see, there's a lot of things that come into play, right? The education system, our college, university system. So that's why I feel that Singapore, if you're comparing just Singapore and Malaysia, Singapore are way ahead because their universities are like world class compared to Malaysia lah. So, and it pains me to say this. So if you're Singaporean and you're listening, please enjoy this while you can because because we're gonna beat your ass at food any day. But
Oh,
yeah,
Singapore actually got awarded some hawker,
yeah, please,
some
yeah,
hawker award thingy.
oh, that my
Yeah,
Singaporean friend sent that to me and like told me don't be jealous. Like, oh my, the
I
pain.
disagree with that 100%. But okay,
Yeah, but
you guys have
no,
your win for now.
yeah,
Yep.
but I think that example is just another showcase of how Singapore really has pushed from the grassroots and also from the infrastructure level from the government. I think so.
Mm,
I'm trying to steer clear of getting this into like this political realm, but I think from a governance perspective,
yeah, for sure.
we were late to the game. I use this example. I've used it in one of my other episodes as well, where when Malaysia started getting into this whole product, and we were getting like a lot of MNCs coming to Malaysia to set up shop. I think at that time, circa 2010, around that 2008, 2010, I think we were ahead of Indonesia. This is my unverified point of view, but I've spoken to an Indonesian friend and he tends to agree that around at that time, I think Malaysia was still ahead. But now,
Yep.
if you now come 10 years later, right, suddenly Indonesia has just just massively gone up front. Maybe it's because Jakarta is just the sheer volume allows more startups to mushroom. Maybe I tend to think that it's also because they, from an infrastructure perspective, maybe not government, but the business owners themselves have been really taking the challenge or throwing down the gauntlet to say, I'm going to really hire the best from overseas, and that
Yep.
has a ripple effect of then creating
Mm.
a bigger ecosystem of local leaders.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's my point of view. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good time. If you're listening or you're watching, you think you've got an opinion, feel free to put a comment. And I'm not saying this because I want comments, right? Because one of the things as a Malaysian, I'm very wary is that I don't want to operate in a bubble. So I would love to hear other
Sure.
points of views as well.
Yep.
But I think let's leave that one at that, because I think otherwise we could probably spend
That's a
another
rabbit
3 hours. Yeah, that's a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Let's move on. I think one of the things I wanted to sort of talk about is you've got a podcast show. You've had quite a few episodes as well, and I wanted to just go into this little change tack a little bit and talk about some of the memorable things that have happened over in 2020. So maybe we'll start with from your perspective, what was your favorite episode of Crazy Product Asia, and why?
Well, I would say all my episodes. Well, I would not say that I have one favorite episode, right? But
Oh,
I'll
come
say,
on, you stop sitting on the fence.
yeah. But I would definitely have one memorable moment where I was speaking to Zenan is the head of product at Stashaway. So I think one of the because we both work in the fintech industry, right? And the fintech industry, I guess the fintech industry is not as in terms of culture, it's still really binging on the banking culture. So because of that, it's really a lot of the culture is borrowed by my way or the highway kind of culture. And it's not about the user. So one of the key things that he spoke about was product empathy, right? So how do you have empathy from a product perspective to understand user problems? And I kid you not, in the fintech world, no one. Yeah, we talk about users. We say like, oh, the users are the most important, but that's just all talk. Like you don't really empathize with the user because it's all about how we can make most money from the user, how we can make most money from the customer. So it's really not going into the customer problems, the user problems. And I think Stashaway has really got that down. I would say they have really got that down in terms of understanding. I'm not sure if the listeners know Stashaway. I mean, I personally use Stashaway. I think it's a really great platform to get into investing if you're interested and you have some spare cash aside to invest. So yeah. Uh, Investing from what Stashaway is doing to build a robo advisory, and I think they're the first in Southeast Asia. So investing is a very touchy thing when it comes to Asians. I think a lot of people, when you say investment means a lot of things. There's like so many things related to investment, right? So I think what Zenan really spoke about is that how would we understand the pain points and have empathy towards the user on the pain points with regard towards the portion of investment. So that being said, most of the banks don't even talk about this. Never. I highly doubt that banks would really go into this portion because it doesn't benefit them. That it doesn't really benefit them to really understand the core user problems because they probably won't make much money. But when it comes to Stashaway, the product experience it's really the thing that makes it different from all the options that you see out there, right? So I think Zenan really shared an interesting point and moment there for me. So
Okay.
that's part of my reflection. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I was just thinking about it myself. Like, if I had to choose which one, had the most memorable one, I think mine was just when I was interviewing Ken. He was the
Ken.
former
Yeah.
CPO of Seek Asia. So it
Yeah.
wasn't so much about like the whole thing, but it was just this one line that he mentioned, right? That until now I still think it's genius because he used it in the context of like his career, and it still sticks with me. So that saying was he said he was quoting, I think, Erasmus, right? Hey, wait, did I actually put this up as a post? Yeah, I might have, but sorry, I'm digressing. The
Sure.
quote was, "In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king." And when he said it, right, I still remember, I was like,
Wow.
wow, that just hit me like a truck. I was like, you're right. Sometimes, and the reason why for me it was such a like revelation in that sense is because in product we always want, we feel this imposter syndrome, and again, this word gets bandied about all around, and we're always afraid that we don't know enough. But sometimes, right, if something that we're doing is really really new, that saying really comes true, right? In the land of the
Yeah.
blind, the one-eyed man is king. And I was like, yeah, look, so sometimes you don't
Yeah.
really need to know everything, you just need to
Everything.
know enough to be the leader, to lead, and then build on that. So yeah, that for me was, yeah, that was very interesting. So yeah, so yours was Zinan from Stash Away, mine was Ken from
That's your.
Seek Asia.
I think that's your first episode, right? Is it
No,
not?
no. Ken
Second.
was second. Ken was second episode.
Second. Yeah. Second. Oh no. Our first was with
Ritz.
Rizwan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a very enjoyable one. But yeah, that was enjoyable for a different reason.
Yeah.
I think that one, the banter was just amazing. I mean, I've never laughed so much in all my sessions. So that one was crazy. But yeah, Ken's one was the one that really stuck. And ironically, I was talking to Ritz a few months ago, right? He also
Yep.
mentioned that when he heard that part, he was like, wow, so yeah, that's really cool. So Ken, if you're listening, like, you've made me appreciate that line so much. So amazing. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next question, about podcasts as well. Like, do you have like the one memorable thing that happened on your show, like either during recording or during, something that you said, whether it was, a boo-boo or whether it was something funny? Yeah. Did you have any recollection of that?
So I think part of the recording that it's not really I wouldn't say interesting but annoying is that um given I'm the host and I use a lot of ahs, ahs. So there's a lot of that ahs where you're thinking, you're pausing a while. So that when I'm listening back into when I'm editing or I'm changing stuff, and I'm like, why is there so many ahs? Like, why am I saying so many ahs? Like, you don't really realize it until you actually listen to yourself and then you start
Yeah.
editing. So yeah, I if I have one thing to say, I do not like listening to myself.
You you have a fellow empathizer right here. Like, every time I listen back to the recordings, like, ayo, it
Like,
just
it's
feels
like, yeah.
terrible. Yeah.
It's like, why did I say this? Like, ah.
Yeah, mine was somebody told me, hey, do you realize that you use the word in that sense a lot? It's like, yes, I know, and I know it every time I listen back to the recording. I'll be like, why do you keep saying that? Just stop for a while, don't say anything rather than just using that phrase. Thankfully, I think I've curbed it a little bit more in the more recent episodes. But if you listen back to the first 10, it gradually gets worse. One, I remember there was this one particular episode I was listening back. It's like, yo, can I just edit it? Like, because it really sounds terrible. Every, like, few questions, I was suddenly the word in that sense. What on earth? So yeah, I totally agree there. Totally agree. Yeah, I had one where I was having this guest, and like this, like, we were recording and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and I think 20 minutes into the session, I realized that it wasn't recording. We had to start
Oh.
again. Yeah, That was a major boo-boo. Yeah, that was a good learning curve.
That's a major blunder, right?
Major
Okay.
blunder. I'm so thankful that the guest was happy to sort of re-record. I won't tell you guys who, but yeah, it was it was yeah, that was just humiliating. It's like you're really you're into it already, and then suddenly you realize, hey, why is that recording button not showing up?
No, not
And the thing
there's
was,
no.
I actually went back and tried to check everything. I actually clicked on the record button, so I must have clicked stop at some point because I had the
Right.
first part of the recording. So that
Oh, okay.
that was super memorable though because I was like, yo, it felt really really so bad.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's not a bug. Maybe you can actually send it to Zoom or something.
I don't think it's a bug. I'm pretty sure because I remember that I was fiddling with it during that session, and
Right,
then
right,
suddenly something like this intuition of gut. They're like, hey, but just check whether you're recording, and then you realize, hey, it's really not recording. So, but then I had the first part, so I don't know what happened. I don't
right,
know.
right, right.
Yeah, but
It's
that
okay. It's okay.
yeah.
I mean,
That
it's
but that
you
was
learn from it,
really
right?
yeah, that was really memorable though. Like that. So every time now when I do like an episode, like I keep
Yeah.
checking multiple times, like when like let's say like now like just now when you were talking, I'm actually making sure is it recording or is it recording or not, just because I'm so paranoid.
We definitely wouldn't want to
Yeah,
re-record everything
yeah,
for
I
sure.
know, right? So that was crazy. Yeah. What about you? You had any questions or I mean like about what about things that happened in 2020
Hmm.
product wise?
Well, product wise, I was actually thinking like 2020, what a year. Like we were just talking about it, like how 2020 is a crazy year. But from a product perspective, I think the most interesting part is how to ship a product while you're doing everything on Zoom
Mm.
or on Microsoft Teams or just remote, right? So I think for most PMs out there, it's really having that one-to-one, that communication, building that rapport with your engineers or your designers, and all of a sudden you have to do it on a screen. So it's a bit tough, but I would say so at where I am in Touch and Go e-wallet. So we have engineers who are in China. So I have one of my front end front end developer who's in China, and I've never seen him physically or interact or like work in a physical space. It was always on a screen,
Mm.
and we have built this bond. Like I would like on Saturdays WeChat him. We will WeChat call, and then like while I'm walking in the park, I would like WeChat call him. It's like I'll show him the cat, and then I'll show him like how Malaysia look like and all that
This sounds like a
stuff.
bromance, man.
Yeah, but like I think that has kind of changed my viewpoints of how remote working could be.
Mm.
Like so long as I think the keyword here is effort, right? If you put in the effort to create that bond or that relationship with someone, I believe that people will be able to see it. So
Mm.
it doesn't matter if even if I'm physically with you, but I'm not putting in the effort to build that rapport or that relationship, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that was the biggest take actually for me. Working remote wise, I think on the product side, that would be the biggest take.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
about you?
I think it would be similar, but in a slightly different slant. So so when I joined Cater Sport last year, right? I remember telling some people, because they were asking me, why did you decide to join them? And one of the things that I was really interested that made me interested was that they were remote first. And I really wanted to push that envelope because pre-COVID, right, everyone was talking about how, product management, in order to be effective, and even when you read all these product management advice and gurus, they would tell you that it has to be physically co-located to get like maximum efficiency and output and things and value. And I had always thought that with the world becoming more global, it felt like there was this air of inevitability that we would have to go remote. So I thought, why not try it out with a company that was, remote first. I mean, obviously there were other reasons why I joined Catersport, but that was one of the reasons. And now, having gone through like we've been like 9 months of like major COVID, at least in Malaysia anyway, I'm even more convinced that that is still the case, that inevitably product is also going to go remote. And the challenge now is how. And even people like Marty Kagan himself has actually come out to say that this was pushed upon us, and we just have to learn how to adapt.
Yep.
And I think that was for me very interesting, learning how to do it remotely. Like I was doing this product consulting for this Malaysian startup, and I had to do this product discovery session using Miro and everything. It was my first time doing it remotely, and it felt a little bit strange. But after a while, you do one session, you do second session, third session, you kind of get used to it. And now I think that this will be an interesting crossroads for us. So now if I tie it back to what we were talking about earlier in the show, right, where we we're talking about how the state of play in product in Malaysia is with companies all going global, more and more companies are hiring from everywhere in the world. And what that means is, for us in Malaysia, in Southeast Asia, if you can't find a good enough company that's based locally, you can actually now go international as well. And I
Yep.
think that bodes very well for product people in Southeast Asia. Yeah. So the point I'm trying to make is that, yeah, this for me, 2020 has sort of forced us to go remote, but it's also proven that yes, we make sacrifices, we have to make concessions to make it work, but it's not impossible. Having said that, I think I would carry that by saying, it remains to be seen how long we can sustain this, though. Like going to 2021, and hopefully it will only be until 2021. I really hope we get out of this COVID part of our lives soon. Yeah, but that for me was 2020. 2020 is like teaching and learning, about product from a product perspective.
Yeah, it definitely has been a tough year. I absolutely would not deny any part of it. It doesn't matter if you're in product or you're in marketing, sales, whatever team that you're in. Yeah, it is a tough year. And I really hope that we get through all of this faster. And I mean, like, yeah, everyone says like, oh, this is a new normal, but I would want to go back to the original normal, to where that is no COVID. but
But do you think that's possible? I don't think it's possible. I don't think we
I
will
th-
ever go back to what it was.
I think if, let's say, COVID ends, I think it would be kind of a hybrid normal
Mm.
of what COVID has showed us in terms of what work would be. I think there will be more. I think the first thing that the biggest change will be HR policies in working from home.
Yes.
Yeah, I think more companies have seen that working from home doesn't really affect productivity too much. In fact, it actually helps productivity. So I think that would be an option for most employees around. I think a
Yeah,
lot of people would have that option.
I also think so. Yeah, I think that has again. I think we've pushed boundaries where
Oh yes.
traditionally there'll be a lot of pushback, but now, like I said, the reason why I say we can't go back to where we were is because now there is a new baseline, there is a new standard, which is the new
Yep.
normal, and now we have to think on the flip side. So, like you were saying, working from home is not so bad anymore, which is I totally agree. But now we have to be very, very conscientious of the fact that burnout is now a real issue, right?
Oh yes, it is.
People are working like crazy hours. People don't know how to shut off. And I remember at the start of COVID, I actually wrote an article about how you can actually put a physical, sort of almost like a physical barrier, how you manage what is work and what is personal. Because and that's where you're really thankful that I started working for a remote first company pre-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yep.
yeah, it really taught you that you have to have like those boundaries. Like for me, I work in a special section of the house, right? And to me, that is like my office. So when I go out of there, I leave my work in the room. So there's a physical separation. And then simple things like when I wake up, even though I work from home, I have to take a bath. I dress up as if, well, I mean, okay, for me, whether I'm dressing up to go out or go to work, kind of same same attire for me. But I dress
Yep.
up as if I'm going to work, so
Sure.
I don't work in my pajamas, that kind of thing. And I felt that has really really helped me, because otherwise, right, there's no segregation, and you feel like your work life just bleeds into the personal, and you can't you can't tell the difference,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely. But I'm not that fortunate because my working desk is just right next to my bed. My bed is next to my working desk.
But you
Yeah.
can still do, you can still do the things of, like, making sure that you're physically getting prepared to work. So your mental state is that, okay, I'm getting ready for work. And then finally, when you're done for the day, you go off, you take a shower, and then you change back into your house clothes, and then, like, okay, this is my mental state of, I'm home. I mean, many different, and I mean, a lot of people have different ways of handling it, but I think that's where
Oh yeah,
this
for
is the
sure.
new normal that we're getting into, lah. So
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. But yeah, we shall see what 2021 brings, because 2021 is going to be damn interesting.
yeah,
It's going to be great.
yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I think you want to say you want to say something there. Go for it.
no, I think the interesting part will be what's going to be in store for businesses in 2021, right? So one of the things I was asking at the midway point of this year, I think it was at the mid-year point, I was seeing, and the context of this is I was seeing some people post up in LinkedIn, right? Look at how our numbers grew, and primarily these were stats from an e-commerce company.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was expected, right? With lockdown, especially in many parts of Southeast Asia,
Yep.
people were really reliant on food delivery. They were
Yeah.
reliant on online shopping, so their numbers were
Mhm.
through the roof.
Yeah.
And my question, I remember putting up as a poll in LinkedIn was: Is this have we changed people's behaviors? Is this the new normal, or is this just a phase? Would people go back to what they were or what they used to do? For example, like now, I mean, can you imagine, like, even my mom now, she's learning, I mean, she's learned how to order food online and things like that. And 2 years ago, last year lah, a lot of people have also agreed with me. They would have never have thought that their parents would be so tech savvy, internet
Yeah,
savvy.
for sure.
um yeah, so for me, 2021 will be very interesting. And also because I think we touched on this, just before we started the recording, because, like, at the beginning, governments have been propping up the economy, trying to help, people sustain,
Yep.
but you
All the
can't do that
stimulus.
forever. Yeah. And 2021 is definitely has to stand on its own feet. I mean, because money
Mhm.
is not going to continue, coming out of thin air, which means that I think that if we don't go back to some sense of normalcy, it's gonna it's gonna be a rough 2021, at least for the first half, I think.
Oh yeah, so I think the first half of 2021 is just going to be a spillover from 2020, right? So I don't think there's going to be much difference. But from an economic perspective, I at least given that I'm working in the e-wallet space, so I think COVID really actually helped us actually to just accelerate everything, like from transactions to merchants accepting QR
Oh
payments. Yeah, you name
yes,
it.
yes, yes.
So I think so I I think one of the key topics were going digital, like how everyone needs to go digital. If COVID didn't happen, this whole topic itself would be kind of like a 8 years kind of thing that people would like, yeah, I need to see the benefit. I need to like what's in it for me to come and get into the whole process. But then now, COVID just literally boom. As a business owner, I have to get a QR payment option. Like I just have to, like no question.
That's true.
So it has helped. It has helped the business a lot, for sure. So I think it's a winning factor for both sides, at least from the fintech and the e-wallet industry. So
Yeah.
I can't say for the rest. I know well, my fiance works in the travel industry.
Yeah.
So that has got a lot of hits,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But once we return to some set of normalcy, I reckon that it would just skyrocket again.
Yeah. I think it will
Like,
bounce back like even
You will
harder.
bounce back. You will bounce back even harder. Yeah.
But I'm just hoping that by that time, right, we have like proper vaccine. Because if it bounces back hard, and then suddenly there's another new onslaught of it, another wave, right? Oh God, I just,
Oh gosh.
I don't think I can deal with that. Another round of,
I don't think I can deal with that either. I think right now, like you have company morales and like how people feel when companies are doing that. I think now it's like country morale, man. Like you go through another MCO, like you walk down the street, you see your neighbor or whatnot, you're like everyone's like like you can just feel it, like you can just feel like just driving around, walking around.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So just to give our listeners some context, right? MCO means a movement control order, which is what the lockdown is called in Malaysia. I think Singapore is calling it circuit breaker.
Circuit breaker, yeah.
Yeah.
More
which is
Changi.
but it's a terrible acronym, by the way. Those of you who speak Hokkien say, oh God, that's like the worst thing ever. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, I think so. So maybe this would be a nice segue to the next question, which would be, what are you looking forward to in 2021? Both from a I mean, let's narrow it down to one, the product perspective, and number two, from Crazy Product Asia's podcast. Like, what is there anything that you're looking forward to in 2021?
Yeah, for sure. So from the product perspective, I would say I'm really hoping that the product that I've been working on launches. So I can't say what the product is, but it'll be very interesting. Obviously, as you know, Touch and Go e-wallet has a very, very wide reach. So yeah, we've been working on something interesting, and it's really about time to just get it out. So I really hope that's out and to see how users react to it and see how they use it. So I think that's on a product perspective. The second, for Crazy Product Asia, I was actually thinking about returning to writing again, versus actually doing more podcasts, because the editing process and the whole recording thing takes a lot of time.
Yeah,
and it's not. I thought it's like something like, oh, this week I'm gonna do this, and then next week I'm gonna have another guest, and then I'll like record like a whole bunch of guests and then edit it one shot. I think it's just very taxing, and I realized that I don't really want to just record for the sake of recording. I don't know if you got into that though. I don't know if you got into that thought process where like, I need to record because there's no content out this week. So I find a guest. I don't know if you got that.
Well, no. So for me, it's been more targeted. So like, so you will notice that I think there was like two times this year that I think there was like 3-4 weeks where I didn't release anything, and that was because I couldn't get the guests that I wanted actually. So for me, yeah, one of the things that I've told myself is that this is a passion project and it needs to stay passionate. So I can't just do it for the sake of doing it. It must be people that I would really be interested in, like, listening to, talking to, discussing with. So yeah, for me, that doesn't change lah. I mean, if I can't get anyone, I'd rather not post anything, go silent for a while. But yeah, that's just for me lah.
Yeah, I think to add to what you just said, one of the podcasts that I really enjoyed was your interview with Diane Rosanti, right?
Dian Rosanti, yeah.
Yeah,
Gojek.
it's from Gojek. Yeah, I totally enjoyed that one, and I've always looked up to Gojek as like the product heaven, or product product
Put out
lab company
Utopia, is it
out
for
there. Yeah,
you?
product utopia. Yeah, that's so that was in fact that was actually one of the guests that I wanted to speak to, but
Mm.
obviously who knows, 2021, if you're listening, if you're listening, do give me a shout out. Yeah,
Do it, man, do it. I would
but
love
yeah, that's
to hear
that
it.
that was a really good interview, and I really enjoyed that one.
Nice. Okay. Wait, sorry. Before we move on, right? I remember one episode that you did, one of the podcasts, right? It wasn't you, it was somebody else who did the interview.
Yeah. So it was this lady called Hazel. So Hazel,
Yes.
if you're listening, hello. So she actually just messaged me just a LinkedIn message saying that she would like to co-host, and I was like, okay, that is actually a very interesting take,
Mm,
because I didn't want Crazy Product Asia to just be about me.
mm.
So I would prefer, if someone wants to co-host, like, please, like, use my materials, use the materials that is there, and just go for it. So yeah, that was what Hazel did, and I think she did a fantastic job hosting. So probably much better job than I did. So awesome stuff from her.
Okay. No, I mean, so in that sense, sorry. See, I did it again. I said in that sense, terrible. But anyway, I caught myself, so not too bad. So for 2021, will we be seeing more of Hazel? Like, is that something that you're thinking about, or that's not, that's all set up?
Yeah. I'm like I said, anyone who is interested to jump onto Crazy Product Asia and just wants to host, I think that would be fantastic, because I can't be always creating content just by
Mm.
myself. So if any aspiring product people wants to host, like, feel free, just email me or whatnot, and just go for it. So yeah, I don't want to make it I don't want to make Crazy Product Asia about me.
Mm,
So I think
mm.
it's I just want to diversify it to whoever that's interested. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, I think for me, 2021, what I'll be looking forward to from a product perspective is I'm really hoping that we'll be able to get back to meeting people. I think that is one thing I really missed
A
in 2020.
physical PM huddle.
Yes.
Yes, we
Sorry,
haven't had that.
again, context for non-Malaysians, PN Huddle is a product meetup in Malaysia.
Yep.
Yeah, and I really want to have a physical meetup with just product people in Malaysia, not just in Malaysia lah. I think I just want to be able to meet people and talk about product, like whether it's in a
Yep.
conference or whether it's in a meetup, because I think
For sure.
that the physical element has been missing, and it sucks. Yeah, it's good for a while, when it starts, you're like, oh, get your little space, and then now you can join meetups any part of the world as long as you're willing to stay up, blah blah blah. But after a while, it's just, man, it just feels like we live in a rectangular window, so
Yeah, for sure. I really hope that we have a physical meetup soon,
yeah,
because
man.
I think it's time, it's due that we
Yeah,
just need to see everyone,
yeah, that's
and
true.
just
Yeah, so that's one, and I think from a product uncensored show perspective, most likely when we start next year, the frequency of the episodes are going to be once a month. I used to do it once every 2 weeks or once every three
yeah.
weeks. But similar to you, I think that the toll of recording, editing, putting it out there, it's really tough, and yeah, I think it's yeah.
Yeah,
So
I don't think you should kill yourself over just needing to release content after content, right? It's
correct.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's not a quantity game, it's a quality game.
yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in 2020, I think I've had a good break, where I because of being laid off and stuff, I've managed to take this as something to do, and it really helped. To be honest, it kept me sane. But yeah, I think now that I've started the new role, and the stage of where the startup is at. Yeah, once every 2 weeks, I think I'm gonna kill myself just trying to do it. So that was always the long-term play. That once I get back into the whole groove of getting back to work, that I would sort of mellow it down. So yeah, definitely I'm looking forward to that, doing a once a month, which also means that I'll be able to not be so rushed when I'm, because like this year I still remember there's like one point where I was like handling like 4 different guests at the same time. They're all different stages. One was setting up the recording schedule. One was trying to see whether they're okay. One I was working with that person's company's PR team to make sure everything was okay, and then looking for the next one. So it was like, that was insane, man. I still remember my wife was telling me, it's like you're busier than when you had a job. So yeah, so definitely don't want to go there again. So I want to keep the passion project something that can be sustained. So next year will probably be once a month. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good for you.
Yeah. So I think, sorry. Oh gosh. I lost track of time. So we're actually.
Same here.
Yeah, it's quite long.
Wait. How long are we at?
An hour plus. But this also
Wow.
is the initial part. I'm probably gonna have to remove the part where we were testing and everything. So I think probably about an hour. So it's been quite long. But yeah, let's wrap up by going to the last part of the show, which I always enjoy, which is the song. So why don't you tell us about the song that you chose?
Yeah, so the song that I chose is Avicii. So I'm a huge fan of Avicii, and I think this is the song from his last album. So it's called Peace of Mind. So I think one of the struggles that Avicii was going through was really the drinking, the partying, and the meeting people and all that stuff. So I think he wrote this song in saying that, I think there was a couple lyrics saying that this society, you are moving way too fast. So I think he was really putting it out there, saying that I can't keep up with this pace anymore, I need to slow down. And I think it really resonates to how everyone is in this covid time. Like we are chasing after deadlines, and we are working crazy hours. I think it's really time to slow down, time to reflect, and time to take a little breather and reassess what's really important. Because I've always it's just a mental note in my head. Work is work, right? But there are other important things in life that we should always value outside of work. So yeah. So let's hopefully we don't get too lost into the work translation of things. Yep. That's my song of choice.
Yeah. So as usual, the video will be up here. Sorry, this way. Yeah, somewhere lah. It'll be up there. Yeah. So click on it, listen to it. I had a listen. I think it's a very interesting song. I don't really follow Avicii, but yeah, I thought it was a pretty catchy song as well. Yeah. So I think Kit has actually given really good advice. And yeah, any last thoughts before we end the show?
Any last thoughts?
Can be random, right? Doesn't necessarily need to be product related. It could just be random.
Well, I hope, I really hope that the economy doesn't take a hit. I don't want to be too negative on this part, but like I really hope that everyone will be fine. So we don't go through another MCO or circuit breaker.
Oh, okay.
Or even a recession, right? So I really hope, I really want to see everyone just thriving again, and just walking down the road, just see people smiling. So I think that's something that I just hope. So if you guys are listening, smile every now and then. I think that will help people around. For sure.
I agree. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Kit Neoh, who is the host of Crazy Product Asia podcast, senior product manager. And yeah, he will be the face of product management in Malaysia in the years to come. So keep an eye out for him. And yeah, I think he's made really good points around, especially towards the end when we're talking about, this show is all about product management, yes, but I think product management still pales in comparison to life. So take the time to treasure the people that you love. I think that's super important, and that's something that I've learned a lot about in 2020. Money you can always find again, but if you lose the people you love, there's no getting them back. So make sure you cherish them. And even as we go to the end of the year, I really hope that we'll be able to spend some time reflecting on what a crazy, crazy year it's been, and hopefully we gather back our enthusiasm and strength for a new year. And yeah, so I guess I'll see all of you next year in January again. I've got a few people up my sleeve for who's going to come on the show next, so stay tuned. And until then, like Kit said, smile, even though it makes you look crazy, smile and say sayonara to 2020, and let's hope for a better 2021. Until I meet you
Thanks.
guys all again, thank you, Kit, and bye bye.